What's up, everyone? Jeremy here with Majors Academy Dog Training out of Green Bay, Wisconsin, and this is Thirsty Thursdays, episode 20, where you type in the question below and we answer them accordingly. We will be talking today about what I think the conflict in today's dog training is, and what I see or what I hear from clients, and we will sort of go over my thoughts on that. So anybody who has any questions about that, as far as what happens when people get a dog and then they call me, either had previous training or kind of what they've done as far as training on their own, that's what we're going to talk about. So I'm excited. I just signed up about 5 people for my shadow program. So if you don't know, we just launched a shadow program in February, and since then I've signed up 7 people. So that means 7 people are going to come spend some time with me, and we are going to teach them the basics, or if they're a little bit more advanced, we'll go into some deeper stuff. But my shadow program is kind of customizable to where, you know, if you think you want to learn something in specific, you just let me know, and we'll do our best to show you what I know and what I've learned. So I've been dog training for about 10 years now, and started off at a dog daycare for about 3 or 4 years before I decided to get into actually I was doing dog training in there, but didn't do it on my own until then. But I'll talk a little bit about the shadow program. So the shadow program is well, we're going to learn, I can give you sort of an in-depth look into working with fearful dogs, knowing when to be firm, knowing when to not be firm, and then I think the biggest challenge is learning how to bring a dog back, or helping the dog understand to be compliant, but also to be very happy and enjoyable, because we all know that you can be too hard on a dog and it be counterproductive, or in some cases not hard enough. So if anybody's watching, you got dogs or any kind of questions about dog training, please go ahead and type your question. We also have a seminar coming up March 11th in Madison. Hosting it is Fetch Wisconsin Rescue, and we're going to be teaching their new fosters, maybe their new adoptees, and showing them the basics and answering a lot of questions. When we go to those seminars, get a lot of good questions. You know, a lot of basic ones, but also a lot of behavioral questions, and people need to see it, and they need to be able to even feel it too, in my opinion. A lot of trainers have seminars and they really don't work dogs, and it's just like, how can you have all these seminars and not work dogs? And you need to be able to show people what exactly you're trying to get them to do, and then even let them do it. So the training, or more for people who want to get into training, it's for anyone. I do have a past client that wants to do it as well, or wants to shadow with me. So it's either a 3-day or a 5-day, or you can just pay, you know, for however long you want. But it's a 3-day program or a 5-day program, and basically we'll work dogs you know, according to what I have in the house. Those of you that are coming in March, I have a 1%er dog coming in. This dog is very, very, very pronounced in what I like to call fight drive. He's super resistant to any sort of adversive training. He gets very defensive very quickly, and we brought him in for an evaluation, and I haven't felt like this in a long time, if ever. But I thought, this dog's going to bite me. Like he'll have no problem doing that. And if you tell him no, the chances are he'll bite you more. So that dog's coming in March. So we've got people coming in March already. March is already full, and so those people in March are going to have a good time. So anywho, all right, we got some questions. Let me take a sip first. I have a puppy that I'm having a hard time go all the way down. I try and sweep her feet when sitting next to her, but she will have nothing to do with it. She's a boxer. She's 14 weeks. Pam, in my opinion, I think you can achieve that. I'll give you a way to do it, but also 14 weeks, in my opinion, may be a little too young to teach that. What I teach dogs that are, let's see, you want to make sure your dog is able to learn, has the ability to really learn and comprehend what you want. I'm trying to think. It's kind of hard for me to picture a 14-week-old and tell you exactly what to do, but what I would do is when you're teaching a dog, especially a puppy, I would say treats. So one of the things I do, so imagine if my hand is the floor, I'll put a treat in my hand right here. And if it depends on how treat motivated they are, but if they continue to they'll try and go after the treat. So I'll hold the treat in my hand and I'll just put it on the floor and I'll hold it there. And the puppy will, if it wants it bad enough, it'll give you the behavior in its attempt to get the treat. So it'll nose it, and then it may lay down. Once it lays down, you want to mark that behavior and then give the dog the treat and then repeat it. As soon as the dog lays down, say yes or good, and then give the dog the treat. The dog will remember what it did, or you want the dog to start to think about what it did to get that treat. And so I would have the treat in my hand, put it on the floor. The dog will do this, and nose it, and then some puppies lay down. You can even use a leash to kind of, with little pressure, connected to a collar, you could kind of guide it down. And then once it does that 3 or 4 times, like go down on its own, then you start adding a word right before the dog goes in that down. So I would definitely use treats. You may be confusing the dog with too much touching with the legs and stuff like that. So give that a shot. Thank you for your question. Thumbs up. Okay. I'm going to help a woman with a fearful dog. Perfect. Good job. I walked with them for 7 months, and now I'm bringing another foster partner to meet them. How do I take the leash from the woman? So what I would do is walk the dog, and so the dog is here, right? You're here. The woman is walking, the dog is here, and you're right here, right? Then you guys walk, and you wait until the dog stops looking at you, is sort of indifferent to you, right? So the dog's here, you're here, the woman's here, and you're here. Wait till the dog stops looking at you, is indifferent to you, and then you walk beside the lady, grab the leash, and then walk maybe another 10 or 12 steps and tell the lady to slow down walking. So now you're walking the dog. Okay, that's how I've done it for a long time, and I've never been bit doing that. So awesome, Pam. I hope it works for you. It's fun when they offer it, and you don't even have to ask for it. It's fun when they offer it. So you just got to kind of know little tricks of how to, get them to offer it. And so yeah, that definitely works. That's the first thing I would do. All right. Hey Jody, how are you? Are hot dog bits okay as treats? I don't know. I used to use them when I trained tracking dogs, but something got me. I don't remember quite what got me to stop using hot dogs as a means for treats, but I used to cut them up. I switched to, they got these rolls at Petco or PetSmart that are sort of, I think they're really much more healthy, and I just cut them up like I would cut up like summer sausage, and then you can even cut them into 4 pieces. I use those instead of hot dogs because I just don't think that they're the best for them, but so. All right, let's see. I adopted a dog a year ago. The first few months, she wanted nothing to do with me. The last few months, she follows me everywhere. And if she can't be in the same room as me, she cries. What's going on with her? Well, she's just being a little bit too clingy. You have a clingy dog. I think that's what that is, separation anxiety. And she also knows possibly that the whining gets her attention. All right, so if you don't want that whining, if you want the whininess to cease, don't let the whininess in any way let her get what she wants. If whininess gets your attention, your affection, outside food, treats, then she's going to do that. You're just going to reinforce it. So if you take away all of that, and then you can even tell her no to sort of shortcut that, then she'll stop the whining. Excuse me. But yeah, dogs are going to whine. That's why I can have dogs in my house, and they know, most of them, for the first 2 days, they may whine, they may bark, they may scratch at the crate, but that gets them nothing that they want. Once they're quiet, they get what they want. And even when they really want something, they think it's not worth it to do all that, so they stay quiet. Okay? You may want to try that. It's Natural Balance for treats. It looks like sausage packaging. Yeah, I think that's it. Pretty sure. I usually get, what do I get? I get that, I like those little round ones. What?
Bill Jack.
Not lately. I'm getting something else. But yeah, I've been, in the past I've gotten Bill Jack. I like those little peanut butter ones that are shaped like peanuts. They're really soft, so they eat them up really quickly. That's what I've been getting lately. But all right, we got a few people joining in. Feel free to ask questions. We are going to be here until 7 o'clock, and so feel free to ask questions or name a topic that you want to talk about. We are going to be talking about the conflict of what I see in the sort of habits that I think it's more so habits, yeah, that people come with, that I have to sort of fight against. But anyway, all right, we got a little question here. Oh, Whitney's coming in May. How's the bulldog doing? So the bulldog is 9 years old, or between 7 and 9. They project, but he is still very much so thinks the world revolves around him, which is fine. From our perspective, you know, we want to care for our dogs the best we can, but we can't let them know that. So again, he's one of the ones that was whining, and I mean, he's got this really weird whine, and so I'm really working hard on letting him know that stuff again doesn't get him anything that he wants. You know, he gets really jealous when I take all the other dogs out and he has to stay in the crate. He gets really jealous if I'm not in the yard with him. So he's super pack driven. You know, he's super, you know, typical bulldog. You know, just big old baby. So I'm trying to work on that stuff. If you guys don't know about this bulldog came to me from Key to Happiness Rescue. He's going to be up for adoption as soon as we get him right. But in my opinion, he's what they call a Scott type American bulldog. But in my opinion, also he has the temperament of a bulldog, like a short, one of those English bulldogs. He has the exact temperament of a bulldog, and super charmer, man. He can really make someone happy. If this guy finds the right place, it's going to be a great situation. So I think he's a big old lover. I think he's, you know, he can make a great companion. So yeah, I'm glad he wasn't put down as well. I think he could have a good chance at living. Anyway, all right, we got a few people joining in. I'm just going to go over again. I'm Jeremy Majors, Majors Academy Dog Training, Green Bay, Wisconsin. This is Thirsty Thursday. It's a dog training Q&A. Please feel free to ask questions. I'm only going to be here till 7. We got a few questions to ask, so make sure if you've got one, type it in, and let's see if we can help you out. This is what we do every Thursday. We want to try and see if we can help people out the best we can, and I drink a little beer while I'm doing it. I hope you don't mind. Oh, the beer I'm drinking is Luna Stout from Hinterland. It's pretty good. Alright, got a question. Taking our human aggressive dog to a new vet next week. First vet wouldn't handle him. We've been working on his muzzle training and are finally comfortable enough to take him. I'm a little nervous about it. Any tips to a good vet visit? Well, to be honest, what I think you should focus on is make sure he's comfortable with the muzzle. Make sure it's a muzzle he can be comfortable in. Not the cloth muzzles that hold his mouth closed. We don't want that. That's going to make him some dogs very uncomfortable. Some dogs can be okay with it, but make sure it's a basket muzzle. You can either have a Javco, Jafco, or a Baskerville muzzle. You can get the Baskerville muzzles at Petco, PetSmart, things like that. You can also look at my website. It has a store that has my specific brands of any tools that I recommend as far as crates, leashes, you know, adversive tools, collars, all that stuff. So muzzles. So you may want to look at that if you don't have those. But definitely make sure your dog is used to. I would tie him up to something to where he couldn't go, a fence post, a door, something like that, and then fill your dog up and then be there for your dog. And if he decides to get nasty or stuff like that, you tell him no, and give a correction for that with that dog. Because what you have to do when you're at the vet, it doesn't matter with my dogs. My dogs don't have to practice being at the vet. They just know that when I say no or calm down, then it means to be calm. And so that's what you want to practice more than anything, is to allow your dog to become vulnerable to you. So allow you have the dog's collar or something like that, and hold it underneath its jaw, and then have someone feel them up, feel the ribs, feel the butt, or whatever the vet is going to do. Even put something on his chest or something like that. Just get the dog used to what it may feel at the vet. Try to simulate it. The most important thing, though, is that your dog can sort of submit to your advocacy. So when I'm at the vet, I would calm my dog down because they're used to being calm when I ask them to be calm. That's the key. So make sure you can do that first. Make sure you can even get your dog to be calm when you want, not when they want. You know what I mean? Thank you for your question. What are your thoughts on Cesar Millan? First and foremost, without Cesar Millan, I wouldn't be training dogs. So I have to always be humble to that fact. He is the person that did inspire me to work with dogs some 10 years ago. So I have to pay homage for that. And I think he was a very brave man, maybe a little ignorant to the fact of what people would think of him, which worked for him because he sort of brought balance training to the forefront. Before him there was nothing like that on that sort of scale. So him coming from Mexico and him having this accent and things like that really made it very good for TV and stuff like that. And it really, it really just put some real into the world as far as the psychology of dogs and even the psychology of people. So without him I wouldn't be here, I don't think. And so he was a part of the journey. So I can't say anything too bad about him at all. Would I do things different? Do I do things different than him? Yeah, I do. But he can do all he can do given the circumstances that he's in with television. I imagine that may be hard, but if they gave me a television show, I'd kill it. All right. Okay. Let's see what we got. Jeremy, we adopted another bully breed in December. He's a huge boy, but he's very pushy. Similar to what you were saying about the bulldog. He gets jealous and pushes his way through anything. Tips and tricks on the pushiness. Yeah, I mean, you got to get something to help him realize that the pushiness is just not something that is conducive to getting what he wants. If you have a dog that's pushy, make sure that you extinguish that behavior, because if he thinks it's okay to be pushy, then dogs like that assume that it's okay to take it to the next level, to like fight and get what they want. So definitely be able to pet one dog at a time And if that other dog comes around, you know, shoo that dog away somehow, any way you see fit. But he's got to be humbled. It's not all about him. You got to treat everyone equal, and he should act accordingly to that. All right. Thank you for your question. Dusty still won't lay on his side and let me rub his belly. If we leash him to the couch leg, he wiggles and pulls and cries, even when a brush is back in without him going nuts. Doesn't look like he doesn't like being touched or cuddled. Any other ideas? We'd have to see. You know, you may have to bring Dusty over, because he's a different dog, man. I mean, he just doesn't like personal space. He has personal space issues for sure. He doesn't even like any kind of dogs around him. He just freaks out. Not that he wants to hurt him, but he just is like, get away from me. So he's kind of a finicky dog, and you know, maybe that's just his personality. But I'd be willing to help. I'd be willing to see it. I mean, I can really maybe give you some tricks, but I think I'd have to see Dusty one-on-one, because he's a different kind of dog. So feel free to, you know, set up a time and we can get together and see what's up. All right. Those of you who just joined, please feel free to ask your question. I might as well get into the subject. Lately I've had a lot of people call me, and specifically lately, I've had a lot of people call me, and or even just people I train with the first session. I examine how they handle their dog, and I often ask why, or how they came to thinking that this was, you know, the right way to go about handling their dog. So the conflict is what's out there and what's easily, you know, acceptable when people do, or easily accessible when people do research dog training. When people research dog training, there's a lot of misleading things, and one of which is if I correct my dog, then it makes him more aggressive. How many people that are watching right now, how many people have ran into that sort of theory? If especially specific, the shock collar, I'm constantly having to defend the shock collar, the e-collar, because people say or think that it's going to make their dog more aggressive. So anybody out there who has sort of ran into that, let me know, because the problem is this. What's up, Jake? I'm ready to take Zeus. Zeus is the guy that I was talking about in March. You guys, all you guys watching, y'all better tune in March. This dog is a special dog, and I told you he's a 1%er. You don't get these dogs, but maybe one in every 99 dogs. So this guy is going to be a big challenge. Got him for 6 weeks, and the owner is awesome. This really the main motivator for me to work with this dog. But you guys tune in, stay for March, because this dog is going to be an awesome dog to not only learn from, but to experience. And I got a couple of shadow students that are going to experience the 1%er. So it may scar them. It may you know, tell them that, you know, I don't know if I want dog training, but it's going to be a big test for them. So yeah, I'm glad he's coming though. I help all pit bulls. I tell you what. So Zeus is a pit bull. This, if you didn't know, but you know, there's, as we talked about last time, there's just not a lot of resources for pit bulls. So I'm that guy. I live in Pittsfield, Wisconsin. Pittsfield, Wisconsin. So I'm the pit guy. Yeah, it's going to give them a real test. Okay. I'm guilty of the e-collar concern. Just talked to you the other day about my goldendoodles. Oh, yeah. Yeah, you were, yeah. Okay, so let's talk about that for a second. Let's address that. You know, the e-collar, or any tool for that matter, or any adversive approach to dog training, making your dog more aggressive. So you're having these people avoid being confrontational in a sense to their dog, because you have convinced them that the dog is going to become more aggressive. You have convinced them that if you reach for that bone, or you reach for the food bowl, or you pet them while they're eating and they growl, or even if there's some people there's some things that say when they jump on you, you should just ignore it. So you got these people convinced that they should ignore and leave that dog alone when it does that. That is complete crap. I'm gonna tell you that right now. Because that is reversing. That is doing something. You want to improve that behavior? No, that's actually helping that behavior. When you say, oh, all right, well, he doesn't like that, then you're actually helping that behavior. You're actually saying, all right, when he growls, I gotta back off. So what does that say to the dog? The dog says, when I growl, she backs off. So the dog knows then that to continue to growl, instead of confronting the behavior like a dog would do to a dog. Think about it like that. You know, sometimes, yes, dogs get into conflicts, you know, but on average, for the most part, they're not going to just, you know, the dominant dog is going to let that dog know that growling, barking, and or biting is just not acceptable. So, and if they back off, then it's acceptable. So we're having, you know, all the research online is saying that these tools and stuff like that is going to get your dog more aggressive. Now, that's only for trainers who have used these tools and immediately gave up as soon as the dog decided to get have a little bit of resistance, right? So if I'm working with a dog and I'm working with the e-collar, and let's say we're working with food aggression, right? And I've told the dog out, which means leave the food alone, move your head, and sit down. If I tell the dog out and I give him stimulation and the dog decides to not out but instead tries to bite me, that's when most trainers give up, or these positive only trainers give up, and they say that e-collar will make them more aggressive. But that's just bullcrap, because what they've done is not use the e-collar in the correct way. First and foremost, you don't teach with the e-collar. What you do with the e-collar is proof what the dog already knows. When you teach with the e-collar, that's what makes dogs super confused, because it's so different. It's out of nowhere. It's too much too soon. Too many layers too soon. What you have to do is teach the dog the out command without the e-collar first. The e-collar is to proof commands, not to teach commands. We want to teach the dog with and be as gentle as possible, so the dog knows exactly what you want. And then the only time the dog gets a correction or stimulation from the e-collar is when they completely know what you want, but they still say, I ain't doing it. I don't want to do it. They give you the big middle finger because they just don't want to do it. That's the only time that you can prove it with the e-collar. So that's the difference. So all these trainers who say all these tools make them more aggressive is just nonsense. It's nuts because they don't know how to use it. They didn't take the time to learn how to use it, how to use these tools correctly, and they don't know what they underestimate what time means to these people. All right. All right, let's see what we got going on. How's the foot fetish son of mine? Honestly, I have not seen him do it since he's been here, and this is completely honest. And you know, and we talked. So let me just tell everybody. There's a dog named Tucker who is on my Facebook who is obsessed with his left paw and was only obsessed when he got the cast off because they had some sort of injury or whatever. But the dog would literally go in circles and chew that left paw. All right. But it only happens when the parents are home, to my understanding. So, excuse me, I've looked at that paw and it hasn't been touched. It doesn't look like it's been touched, but we'll see. We'll still need some time. You know, what I've gathered from talking to the owners and stuff like that is that the dog does it when it's comfortable. And so the dog has a lot of anxiety. I'm gonna tell you that right now. Dog has a lot of anxiety, sort of similar to the bulldog, you know. So we've got to work through all of that. And once maybe the dog starts to get comfortable, then he may try starting to go after that paw. But so far, there's been no paw chasing, so which is good. If you want to watch that video is down below on my timeline. Check it out if you haven't seen this dog. It's very interesting. You know, we're gonna see. I don't know exactly yet what we're going to do as far as getting it to stop. I mean, I definitely still getting to know him, but I have a feeling that you know, if we take care of the anxiety, because he does have a lot of anxiety. It took him to Petco today, and was taking another dog out of the car, and he was really stressed, and even in the car, super stressed. So we want to take care of all that before and see what that gives us as far as the paw licking and stuff like that. So yeah. Yeah, that's correct, Katie. You know, she brings up a good point. These trainers could also be underwhelming the dogs with corrections too low. You know, again, so I have this theory of mine that says, you know, the reason why I don't get bit and I've never been bit is because I'm not too soft. Because if you're too soft, you will get bit. Same the other way. If you're too hard on a dog, you're still going to get bit. So there's just, you got to find that balance, and each dog is an individual, and if you rush, you're going to get bit. So I'm going to tell people that come shadow with me, and I want them to really understand that. You know, respect obviously is really important, but also being able to know when to give your affection and love at the right times is very important. All right, thanks for your question. Anyway, all right, we got a few more people joining in. If you're just joining in, Jeremy Majors here with Majors Academy Dog Training, Green Bay, Wisconsin. Dog Training Q&A. This is Thirsty Thursdays, episode 20. Please, if you have any dog questions, and ask them, type them in, and we will answer them as best we can. Okay. One day we're going to be able to get live demonstrations So once my garage gets finished and we have heat in that thing, we'll be able to give some live demonstrations. How cool is that? I think that's cool. That'll be cool. We can do like just basic stuff and yeah. My boy Diesel chews on his right paw, but mainly at night when going to bed. Loom at his paw. Nothing is wrong with it. Wow. That's interesting. Only at night and when going to bed. Does that dog, do you think, has some sort of allergy, or it could be food allergy, it could be environmental allergies? There's a lot of factors that go on it. But when I posted up the story about Tucker, there have been people who have shared similar stories that when their dog has gotten their paw in some sort of cast, that afterwards it started to chew on the paw. And I forget who it was. Oh, Kim, one of my ex-clients, had said that it could be a lack, or was it Kim? Someone had said it could be a lack of circulation. Oh, not Kim. It was a person that works with me. Said that it could be a lack of circulation, and it could be a tingling thing that they may be experiencing, lack of blood flow circulation that could be bothering them, because she works with horses a lot, and what they do is I forget what they say, but they sort of put something on the horses and they go up their leg like that, and it gives them some sort of, like, it'd probably be just like putting an e-collar on a dog's paw and seeing if they feel it each and every, going up and see exactly when they start to feel the shock, in order to, I guess, determine the blood flow or something like that. So so I was going to say to Ethan, do you think it could be, and there was also someone who commented about having air pockets in their brain, in the dog's brain. So, and I was thinking, I don't know if you guys got that tested, but it could be a possibility. Also, with that whole test that I just told you about, that'd be interesting to know. But it only happens. But so if we take that into account, though, the dog would do it when it's in its crate, when it's alone, right? You would think, unless the dog's, when it happens when the dog starts to move. I don't know. We'll see. That's what we're here for. But no, Jody, I don't think that dog's in any pain. That dog can walk a long time and not do it. I've been taking the dog for long walks. I've been taking the dog. We just went to Petco, and nothing. And then we take rides. So if it was in pain, we take a long walk, and then I put the dog back in the van. Don't you think the dog would do it back in the van? So we'll see. I was super interested to work with this dog because it presented something different, something very different, and I like learning about all types of behavior. So, all right, guys, we're about 15 minutes left. Type in your questions if you got them. We've talked about the conflict of what I see and the habits, and here's the other big habit. How many of you guys ask your dog to do something? Hey, mama, go lay down. Who's that? Someone just came to the door. Stay, lay down. Down. Got somebody at the door. Oh yeah, we do have an appointment. It's at 7 though. I thought you guys were coming at 7.
Yeah, you should have gotten a pre-cut all on the way.
I didn't get any of that.
Or a text message or email. Hold on.
All right. Okay. Yeah, I got a text. All right, now I got the text. That's 6:22. Okay, we'll be right out. Give me 3 minutes.
All right.
Thank you. All right, I guess I gotta answer one more question. We just have our Time Warner guy. He's supposed to come at 7, but he's a little early, like 15 minutes early. Sorry about that. But yeah, as you can see, our here, Mama is the protector of this house. All right, my other boy Lambo freaks out when getting nails trimmed. We also work with WLL start panting. Well, we'll get so worked up and we'll start panting. He is a rescue and was abused before we got him. Any ideas so we can trim his nails? Groomers won't do it anymore because he can't handle it. Yes, I'm glad you asked. So, the first thing I want you to do, want you to realize is that let's not care about the abuse before you got him. Let's not care about the fact that he's a rescue, because that doesn't matter. It may matter, but very, very, it's a very slim chance that it actually matters. There are dogs that weren't abused and didn't have to be rescued, that still hate their nails to be trimmed, okay, and will go nuts biting people and all that. I've trained them, I know. So forget about all that. Don't let that be a factor in what you want. So what you have to get your dog to realize is that it's happening, and the other thing is that you're not going to hurt him. All right. So make sure you're doing it to the point where, or trimming his nails to the point where you're not actually hurting the dog, because then you can't blame the dog. So what I use is a Dremel, and I sort of just trim it up till I can see the quick. You may or may not be able to see the quick, but the Dremel is sort of freaky because it's loud and then it vibrates the paw, but you can still get, you can still get your dog used to the Dremel. But what you have to do is tie the dog up and even maybe put a muzzle on. What you want to do with the muzzle is take away his best resource of getting out of the uncomfortable situation. Then also the leash provides that too. The leash provides the ability to allow him not to flee, right? So you're taking away his ability to fight or flight. So he can surrender to what you're doing and get him used to all those things you want him to get used to, and just sort of make him face his fears so he can get comfortable with those fears. So I always tie a dog up, and I always maybe play with the paws, and it results in him not fighting me for it, so I grab the paws and I sort of play with the nails and stuff like that until the dog just says, all right, well, there's nothing I can do about it, so here you go. So first thing, so again, you make sure you're not hurting your dog. All right, so we can really ask him not to give us any bull crap like biting or running away, stuff like that. Second thing, muzzle your dog and give your dog or have the dog on leash so the dog cannot go anywhere. Once he surrenders to it, he'll start to get comfortable with it and may even not mind it. All right, so that's sort of the process when it comes to getting your dog to get used to things like that. Difference between leash reactive dog versus dog aggressive. We had a situation with Daisy and a lost dog today. Previously, I taken her to obedience classes, and we had to quit because of her aggressiveness towards other dogs. Today, she snapped her leash outside, and I found her wandering around the yard, with a lost, happy dog as can be. Okay, well, that's because you had her on leash. Yeah, leash reactive is a fear of the unknown and not being able to flee from the unknown. So leash reactivity is scary for dogs because they can't walk away from confrontation, and they don't have the element of trying to protect you. So if the dog is able to independently meet another dog with you not there, they may or may not engage, most likely may not engage in conflict. And so that's what I think you were experiencing. You know, I used to work at a dog daycare, and those dogs used to get along and fine in the yard, but then when the owner would leash them up, the dog was a different dog, even with humans and other dogs. So that's what you were, you know, sort of experiencing with Daisy. Thank you for your question. All right, folks, I gotta go. Time Warner's here. I'm trying to get internet out in my detached garage. I'm sorry I gotta cut this short, but I gotta have that. I don't want him to leave. So he came in a little early, but thank you guys for watching. It's Jeremy Majors, Green Bay, Wisconsin. Majors Academy Dog Training, Green Bay, Wisconsin. We'll be here next Thursday. If you've got any questions, feel free to type them in. Thank you for watching. Give me a thumbs up, and we'll see you next time. Cheers.